It's Jim Monahan and Chris Swendeman, the 2 Minute Drill Podcast. Let's subtitle this episode, Swendy, as the New York Jets' worst nightmare after what we learned on Sunday with the two teams that are now going to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks.
And I just wanted to make sure your legs were okay, Jim. I figured you'd be doing your victory lap with your little sign in the background there, sir, that you've changed and updated now that you're going to the Super Bowl for the 11th trip with the New England Patriots. So congratulations. I will tip my cap, and that's about as much as you're going to get from me on it.
Thank you very much. We all we got, we all we need. That has been the mantra for the New England Patriots for a good portion of this season. My legs are a little sore from shoveling snow for the past 2 days, but I think that's everybody in the New York, New Jersey region. Here's the deal with what happened yesterday with the Patriots. We'll start with them. If you had told me a year ago they're going to go to the Super Bowl, I would have said there's no way. I would have been happy. I expected 8-9. I would have been happy with 9-8. I would have been ecstatic with 10-7. What we got, especially after the third game of the season, they lose to the Raiders. They win one, and then just an ugly, ugly loss to the Steelers. Like, oh God, really? So for them to be where they are, and we've talked about this for much of the season, it is a classic case of players buying in to what the coaching staff is telling them, and Mike Vrabel teaching these players how to win. Anybody can lose. You have to learn how to win certain games. And I think yesterday might have been a good example of that. Drake May obviously did not have a great game. He did enough to win, but it was the defense that got them over. And he just kept saying, make a stop here, make a stop here, make a stop here. And they did.
Yeah, it was a great defensive battle. Not a lot of it. From an excitement perspective, you'd love to see more offense from those two teams, but it was still exciting. And after 4-13 seasons back to back, to go to the Super Bowl is just remarkable, beyond remarkable. And he's got them bought into what he's selling on the sideline, and he's just a passionate coach. You knew no matter where he was going to go, he was going to succeed. And the fact that he landed with New England is just the cherry on top. I mean, he's back where he belongs. He knows the culture. He knows the owner, Robert Kraft. He gets, the Patriots way. And he's the next great coach in the line of, following up after Belichick. So it's great to see them succeed in a way. Selfishly, as a fan of another East team, I don't want to see them in the Super Bowl again, but here they are, and you got to commend them. That's a top-notch franchise, and Kraft has, it starts at the top with Robert Kraft, and hats off to the entire organization.
And congratulations to the long-suffering Patriots fans who now haven't been in a Super Bowl since just before COVID.
Yeah, breaks my heart.
Meanwhile, the New York Jets, because again, this is their worst nightmare. It's the hated Patriots. It's the quarterback they used to have. How come we can't get guys like that anymore? And what was the big news, Swendy, out of Florham Park last week?
So as of Friday, the Jets fired 7 coaches from their staff. It was the QB coach, the passing game coordinator, linebacker coach, 2 defensive assistants, and yet Aaron Glenn is still there.
I don't get it.
So
I don't
get it. I don't get it. They're looking for an offensive coordinator. They're still looking for a defensive coordinator. But yet here we are with Aaron Glenn going, okay, he's gonna right the ship, and we're gonna redo the coaching staff, but yet leave the head coach where it all starts. And we were just talking about Vrabel and how everybody takes their cue from him. Well, Aaron Glenn is the opposite of that. Whatever Vrabel has got them buying into, you couldn't have had a worse, other than if your name was Rich Kotite, you couldn't have had a worse first season as the Jets head coach. I mean, they showed no signs of improvement. We talked about that. They got worse as the season went on. And I just don't understand what they're doing or the lack thereof at this point, because it just, whatever they're doing, they're grasping at straws and none of it makes sense.
There doesn't seem to be any sense of urgency coming out of Florham Park from management and ownership. Again, I don't get it, especially with a guy like McDermott who's available, who is a proven winner, who can get you. Listen, I know they haven't won the Super Bowl. I get it. But if you could get to the playoffs with even half of the consistency that McDermott took the Bills, I think any Jet fan would say, sign me up right now. And what we've said this now, it's like a broken record. What they're doing is wrong. It's wrong for the organization. It's wrong for the players. It's wrong for the fans. And I still think it's wrong for Aaron Glenn. Like, what did he do to warrant this kind of treatment to send him back out there for another season?
Well, see, here's my one argument uh, of why they're not. Maybe it's not so much the Jets not showing any urgency as much as it is they can't find anyone who wants to take the job. If you're a defensive coordinator, especially a young up and coming DC or even an offensive coordinator, do you really want to go to a situation that's such an outright disaster and a mess right now when a year from now you could be looking for another job? Because we're talking about it. Everybody else seems to be talking about it. Aaron Glenn maybe has got 1 year left. So do you really want to put yourself in that position? Cleveland, for God's sakes, can't even get somebody to be their head coach. I mean, these organizations are just known to be absolute disasters from the top down. And if you're looking as a young up and coming coach, you look at Aaron Glenn, and now you just see 7 other coaches were fired on Friday. What kind of stability is that? I would, if I'm a coach looking for a good opportunity, I may wait it out the cycle rather than go to the Jets and have to be in the cycle of coaching next year looking for another job because the head coach that I signed on to work with is now out of a job where we kind of knew that was going to happen anyway.
You might be onto something. Maybe it is that just nobody wants the job, and maybe that Bill Belichick resignation on a napkin. And maybe it starts to make more sense why a guy like McDermott. You got to assume they've at least reached out to him, right? I mean,
You
you
would
have to
think.
think.
I mean, and he's had success in the AFC East. He knows the division better than anybody. He won 5 division titles in a row for Buffalo, and Buffalo was out of the playoff picture for what, 18 years before McDermott got there. So he knows it, but would he want to come back to such a dysfunctional organization? I don't think so. I mean, he had a lot of success in Buffalo. I don't know if you go to the Jets and have that same success because Buffalo may have been dysfunctional before that and they may not have known how to win, but the Jets are next level dysfunction. I mean, they're just an absolute disaster. And it starts with Woody Johnson. And I was texting you during the games yesterday, and I said, fans a lot of the times they take it out, they take their frustrations out when the team's not winning on the other. Blah, blah, blah. Put the name in here, needs to sell the team. Jet fans, you know what? I almost feel like they're right in saying that because what else is there? What other hope can you have? Because it's always going to start and end with Woody Johnson, and he's got to be top 3 worst owners in all of sports. And I'm not talking football. I mean just all of sports. So if you're somebody who just came off a successful run in Buffalo, do you really want to take the Jets job and hope that you could rekindle that magic or wait it out a year and see what jobs open next year and go there? I just think it's a fact that nobody wants to go to this organization and give it a shot because it'll still mean you're working for Woody Johnson. He's an epic disaster.
I don't have anything I can add to that. I think you've put it perfectly. I really do. And maybe that's the reason why all of this is happening the way it is. We've got some time before we have to really start breaking down the Super Bowl, but I will say a couple of things here. A lot of people derided the Patriots, so the schedule was too easy. Well, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. And on this playoff run, they've knocked off 3 of the top 5 defenses
Yep.
in the NFL. So they've beaten some pretty good teams along the way. I think May is showing a lot of signs of being a second year QB. over the past maybe month or so. Didn't fumble the ball yesterday, which was a step up. He held on to the football. But I think if it comes down to it, Sam Darnold might be the more experienced quarterback going into this game in 2 weeks. And who would have thought that?
And the irony here is not only, and I'm going to get to Sam Darnold in a second because I couldn't be happier for the guy. I mean, you talk about the definition of resilience, but one of the things we haven't talked about, and I find it so funny, is not only is Drake May in his second year in the Super Bowl, but guess who else is going to the Super Bowl? Mr. Hey, Tommy Cutlets is going to the Super Bowl, Giant fans. You got your wish. Tommy Cutlets is on his way to the Super Bowl, just happens to be the backup to Drake May. But I find that so funny. The fact that a former Jets QB and a former Giants QB both in the Super Bowl. One not starting, but still, he's going. As far as Darnold, you can't make it up. You absolutely cannot make it up. But as far as Darnold, this guy has gone through so much and been through so much change and just never gave up. I mean, this is your feel-good story of the biggest game of the year for the NFL. This guy has gone through coaching changes with the Jets and then Carolina and then San Fran. Minnesota looked like it was going to be his home, and they let him go. You know what? Jets are getting a lot of flack for Darnold right now. I actually think Minnesota should get as much flack, if not worse, because he led you to what, 14-win season, and you let him go for J.J. McCarthy? You probably should get as much crap as the Jets are getting, if not more, because he showed you what he could do. And Sam Darnold this year came up and played his biggest game on the biggest stage when they needed it most. And you know what? Kudos to him because he just never gave up. And it just shows you put somebody in the right system with the right support and they can make it work. And talent will win out. And he's in the right system with the right support that the Jets never had for him. And this is why he's leading Seattle to the biggest game of the year.
And on that note, we're going to wrap things up for this week's edition of the 2 Minute Drill podcast, a.k.a. the Jets' Worst Nightmare edition. Swendeman, you know the drill by now. Like, subscribe, the thumbs up, the thumbs down. You like us, tell a friend. You hate us, tell an enemy. Just make sure you tell somebody, and we'll talk again next week.
And by the way, before we wrap up, one fun fact about Sam Darnold as we wrap up for this week. Do you know, Jim, who his grandfather is?
I do not.
He was the original Marlboro Man.
Are you kidding me?
His grandfather is the original Marlboro Man. And do you know his name?
I do not. If I do.
One of the greatest 1970s names ever given. The Marlboro Man as Dick Hammer. I kid you not. When I heard the name, I already knew he was the Marlboro Man, but I would have thought he was in a different audio or video rather business with that kind of name, but that was his legitimate name, Dick Hammer. He was the original Marlboro Man, and he's the grandfather of Sam Darnold.
Now, it's been decades since cigarette commercials were allowed, but you want to know the power of an advertising slogan? I can still remember it. Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro country. Whoever wrote that, is that Mad Men? Whoever wrote that advertising slogan, I hope made a bazillion dollars off of it because, boy, it sticks in your head.
It does. See, not only do we talk sports and other topics, but we're educational too.
All right, Swendon, but we'll talk again next week.
You got it, Jim. Have a great week.
Mr. Marlboro Man over there.